I do have one resentment of the sport. You know what a fan I am? I mean, I'm always down here. I'm happy about anything that's coming up. I mean, I got a really good outlook on the sport of MMA, but Jacob, I despise the 5 rounds. I have no idea why we went to that. Even in a championship fight, I mean, if you want to make that argument, I realize I'm probably going to lose just because championships are sometimes different, but not in other sports. A basketball game is a basketball game, whether the title's on the line or not. A volleyball game's a volleyball game, whether the championship's on the line or not. Football game's a football game. I mean, go right through them. For some reason in MMA, a championship fight is supposed to be longer. So let's just drink to the history of the sport and tip our hat that I'm going to lose that for a championship. Man, don't do that to us. Every show, don't think you have to give us a cap off of 25 minutes. The human body's not made for that. They're going to stall. They have to. It is not a heart issue. It is not a conditioning issue. The human body is not made for that. And frankly, a guy with my mental capacity isn't either. As a fan, get them in and get them out. 15 minutes is a long time. You're asking a lot of me for me to watch the same thing for 15 minutes. It's a little bit redundant. I'll do it. I won't complain. I'll do it. But you are asking a lot of me. For 25 minutes? And yeah, you're going to have your Mark Hunt, Bigfoot Silvas come in there time and time again where fans are going to go, but, you know, I could have watched 6 and 7 rounds, but it's a silly thing to ask a human to do on both sides of it. To ask a competitor to be out there that long or to ask a fan to sit and absorb it for that long. I just feel particularly in combat, if you were to break it down to its most basic of levels, which is the playground or real life, it's not going on 25 minutes. I mean, that is an absurd amount of time. So, you know, in this particular case, we're talking Usman, and we're only talking him because he was the most recent. Not to criticize it all, just because it just happened. You're going to say he was a little bit boring. It was 25 minutes. That's silly. I mean, we've made this example and proved to this point with boxing. And boxing, for the 50 years it's been on television, has 2 commentators, regardless of the team, regardless of the organization, regardless of the network, that will convince the audience these guys are feeling each other out. That is a bold-faced lie that does not exist. There is no such thing as a feeling out process in the sport of boxing. Commentators have built in that narrative as a way to explain to the audience why nothing's happening, when the truth is, nothing's happening because these guys are both out there for 12 rounds, and they both know I can't do it and you can't do it. So let's have an unspoken deal that we burn 6 of these things and then we get after it. You're a human and I'm a human. In amateur just to further my point, in amateur boxing, you will never hear a commentator say they're feeling each other out. Because it's 3 rounds. And it's great to watch. I just love the Olympics in boxing. I love it. Man, they come out and they get after it. They got to prove their point, and they got to do it right now. I got to touch you more times than you touch me, and we're going at it. And the professionals, they just can't do it. The human body's not made for it. And we do see some of that trickle over to MMA. And when I make this point, I already know what's going to happen. I already know people that are going to bring up fantastic 5-round fights. I'm well aware there's exceptions to the rules, okay, people? Don't come out and be jerks and disprove me. You'll have plenty of them. You won't just have 1 or 2 or 5. You probably come up with 6 or 7, but you probably won't come up with 10. The sport's been around for 20-plus years. You probably won't come up with 10 exceptions to the rule, which is less than 1 per year. 25 minutes is too much to ask. And I mean, I'll further this little diatribe I'm on right now, but everybody would go for it if you wanted to make it 3 5s. Like even the business side where we go, listen, guys, there is a commercial element here, and we've got TV time slots, and we got a time buy for this much, or we must fill this much content. Somebody's got to go 25 minutes, but we're willing to pay you more. If you go main event, we're willing to take care of you. The athletes would come back to the promoter and go, I hear what you're saying, but let's do less. Let's do this. I'll give you 20% back. I'll do it for 20% less, but don't stick me in there for 25 minutes. I don't want to run 8 miles a day instead of 5. I don't want to spar 5 rounds every sparring session, which is 2 to 3 times a week for most guys, as opposed to 3. I don't want to do that. I don't want to go out there for 25 minutes, vulnerable, tired, with a guy coming at me. It's not about heart. Everybody says it's about heart. It's not about heart. Some guys are sprinters and some are marathon guys and some sit in between, and they can be in as perfectly good a shape and be as tough as they can possibly get. And then they cap out. They cap out somewhere. A lot of people don't realize that. At some point, you cannot, as a human, get in better shape. You are in your best shape. 25 minutes is a ridiculous ask. And guys have got to do what they have to do to survive. And it's not an insult to MMA guys. It goes back to boxing. Boxing never should have had 12 rounds. It is absurd. And the fans don't want to see it either. But boxers do it exclusively for the point that I just made, which is they're top heavy. They don't come in with what's called a main card like we do in MMA. They don't have these co-main events. And though somebody does get listed as a co-main event, you've never seen a countdown show. You've never seen a 24/7 for a co-main event. In all of your days, you've never seen that. With absolutely no examples. Never happened.
True.
I was at Conor Floyd, just to use a huge fight, for example. I don't know who the co-main event was, and I was there live. I mean, there's no feature on it. So for boxing, the promoters go, well, listen, we have to provide some level of entertainment, and people don't really fill up the arenas, and our sport's different. I don't love that argument. I just get that is the argument. In MMA, no way. Dana White and Scott Coker both are going to give you absolutely, without question, 2 hours of things to look forward to. Well, speaking of, Scott Coker's going through it right now. You saw Crow Cops out.
Yeah.
Show's going to go on.
It has to.
Coker's not going to flinch. But in MMA, he doesn't have to. Guess what he gets now for a main event? The goddamn world title's on the line. So who's going to cry in their beer for Scott Coker? Oh, gee, sorry, you lost your main event. What? You have a world title, but that's what these MMA guys do. I mean, Coker and they're ready for this. They're ready for this change where boxing isn't. And I'm going a little bit off gear here, but it does come back to my point. We got to do away with this 5-round business. We just do. For fans, we need to push back and go, guys, I'd rather see all of that energy but compact. I can tell you, I mean, I've done the 5-round fights. I've been in 4-round fights that went into the 4th. Tons of 3-round fights and some 2-rounders and some 1-round. I come out just as tired every time. I'm exhausted. I mean, you go out there and you leave everything that you have, however long the time is. My point is, and I hope a fan can agree with me, because they're going to have to conceptualize this as opposed to actually experience this. My point is, we are going to give you just as many punch and kicks and takedowns and submission attempts. We're going to do it all. We're just going to do it in a shorter time frame. I mean, the sport of wrestling, which is just one of the most exhausting and tiring things you can do, it's only 6 minutes. On a high school level or an international level, on an NCAA level, it's 7 minutes. But those guys look like they got hit by trucks when it's over. I mean, they're exhausted. They will empty that gas tank. So don't think you're going to get the guys holding back. You're not. They're going to compress it.
They have to.
They have to. Yep. Absolutely, they have to. And I would just argue that that's more fun, and I would use the amateur boxing model as an example, or even early MMA. You know, this whole 5-round thing came around, I think, around 2008, where non-title fights, as long as it was a main event, could qualify and go into 5 rounds. Not all organizations do it, but they do have the right under the unified rules to do that. I would just ask that that be revisited, that be reconsidered as a fan, not the fighter in me. And I already know, oh, you're lazy and you don't want to. No, do it every time and never complain.
You just said you come out just as exhausted.
Yeah, not trying to put that message out there at all, but I am saying that a gentleman's ability to extend his career, one, that is true, and it's not just because of the blows that are taken in the match, but the preparation for it. I mean, all the way down to just the runs you have to do. I mean, I was thinking about the wear and tear on the knees and the body. I mean, it's a different situation. And fighters quite literally would go, no, wait a minute, I'll do it for 20. Don't think you have to give me more. I'll do it for the same price. I'll do it for 20% less if I can train for and compete 20% less of the time. It's too much. That's the fighter side of it. The fan side of it, damn it, I don't want to see that. And I know there's 7, 8, and 9, and maybe you come up with 10 examples where you really enjoyed a 25-minute fight. Maybe you could come up with 10. Probably not maybe. In 22 or 23 years that this sport's been around, 25 years this sport's been around, 10 examples. I'm telling you, a fan doesn't want to see it either. I could be wrong. Let's have some debate. But I would ask this. Let's revisit this. Let's have that debate. Let's revisit this. Do we really want to sit there for 25 minutes? 'Cause I can tell you, I don't.